Welcome to what is the last of the regular videos for RPGaDay 2022. Now there may be a follow-up or conclusion video that I do with David Chapman. Sometimes we do them and sometimes we don't. And the reason why we don't is scheduling. So we'll see if this year's schedules are kind for bringing that about. But without any further use of time, let's get directly into the responses. So we begin with Sunday, the 28th of August, and it's Style Sunday, and what that's referring to is asking us to share cover art that we are particularly fond of. Perhaps your favorite cover art ever, or your favorite of this year, or if you're a very, avid acquirer of RPG material, maybe your favorite this month or this week. But anyway, some piece of RPG art for the cover that you want to share. And this is also a tag question like we did earlier in the event, where you are being asked to, notify, tag, mention your friends. Not strangers, not random people, on your follow list or whatever. Just friends. Send them this cool cover art that you think is pretty incredible. And, if good luck holds, something might come of it. So what cover art do I want to share? Well, before I share it, let's build some tension and let's take a look at the tagging process, where I decided I would do something a little different. I would be inspired by, not bound by, the phrasing of the question. And I would come up with a number that, is in the right ballpark. So I took 5 D9s, and yes, I have D9s. I've got one. Did I put it away already? I put it away already. Imagine. I got 5 D9s. And what is a D9? I showed it to you the last time. Right here it is right here. Here's one. Can we show the 9? Is it possible? That's the 6. How do you know? Because there's a dot, right? So I took 5, and I thought, I'll roll them and take the average. And then I realized that it would be far more tense if I rolled them individually. And so I did that. And it worked out interestingly. You can see images of this on the written blog. But you are going to be treated to a video of the rolling process up here while we talk. Now, why would I bother to share it instead of just telling you the number? Well, because it was kind of surprising. Now, sharp-eyed viewers have already seen that I rolled a 1, and then I rolled a 5, and then I rolled another 1, and then I rolled another 5, and then, as the big epic finish, I rolled a 9. So this gives me an average. If we take it positively, right, we will round up from 4.2 to 5. So I will notify, I will tag 5 of my friends and send this cover art to them. And now many of my friends know about my interest in the Cthulhu mythos, and they know about my interest in role-playing games, and of course many of my friends are actually role-playing gamers, and that's why they're my friends, because we play together. So they shouldn't be surprised by the receipt of this information. They may take it as an invitation, and that would be nice too. So what is the cover art that I want to share that I think really stands out? I decided to make my choice based on cover art that I think is fantastic, that is matched by interior contents, which I also think are fantastic. And sadly, this doesn't always happen. Sometimes the contents are let down by the cover, and sometimes the cover is maybe the best part of the entire game. And there's a place and time for that, and that can be fun and interesting too. But in this case, I wanted the things to balance. And so the cover art I chose was this. All right. Leagues of Cthulhu, released by Triple Ace Games, a game that I have the great pleasure of working on as an editor and sometimes as a contributor, and I just can't say enough good things about it. It's yet another exciting way to explore the Cthulhu mythos. This one reworked from the ground up directly from the works of Lovecraft, minus other inclusions. And so it's a very specific, very focused view of the fear and the threat, the ambiance, and that disjointed sense of not belonging in a place where you should belong. And I think that over and above all of those fine atmospheric treatments and the different ways to portray the mythos in an 1890s setting, over and above all of that, we also have some truly horrific implementations of things such as magic, things such as monsters and otherworldly beings of the dreamlands. It's quite good. So that's my recommendation. Lily's going to join me for the next day, which is our last Monday of the 2022 event. This is August 29th, and the question is our Who question, our last Who question. Who would you like to see participate in RPGaDay? Now, this could be talking about this year, because it's not too late to leap in and respond to the prompts. It could be a lot of fun to do them all at once, both for the posters' enjoyment and for those who come to read or listen or see what they have done. But it could also be next year, which would be much easier for everybody, maybe. Who would I like to see participate? Now, this is not a compulsion. This is not a compunction. This is not a command. I'm not summoning and binding. I'm just simply expressing something that it would be nice to see. It would be nice to see this person participate in RPGaDay. Now, there's lots of temptations here. We could pick someone incredibly famous and powerful. We could pick someone who absolutely hates it, and this could be a way that we tease them. We could, of course, as has happened so many times going through this particular RPGaDay and others, think about friends who are no longer with us and family members who are no longer with us that we miss playing with or we never had the opportunity to play with, and we have some regrets. I think we can all think of people like that and situations like that and wish that they were still around and that it would just be an easy thing for them to do to participate in RPGaDay. But I'm going to go a different route for mine. Atypically, perhaps. Right, Lily? We are going to... She likes falling asleep. I'm going to choose someone who's alive. I'm going to choose someone who's a newer friend and someone who, to the best of my knowledge, has never participated in RPGaDay, even though I've brought it to their attention. So it's a little bit of friendly teasing, but in no way is participation a requirement of being named in this question. So most of my friends have at one time or another participated in RPGaDay, but one of the people that I game with pretty actively these days has not. At least I say to the best of my knowledge. And so the person I would like to see participate in this year's event or next is Craig Shipman of Third Floor Wars, no stranger to appearing on this channel or his own. Frequently visible on Twitter and places where conversation about RPGs abound. I think it'd be kind of interesting. He is one of those gamers who played a lot and then took a long break and then came back to the hobby. And that kind of split perspective on the hobby I find particularly interesting. And if that sounds compelling to you, then another source for that kind of response you can find on a podcast called Hindsightless, all one word. I'll have the link in the description, where Joe Richter, the host of the Hindsightless podcast, has been going through answering a lot of the questions from the perspective of how he used to feel when he was a new gamer and how he feels as a returning gamer. And I find that quite interesting. So, Craig Shipman, you're under no compunction whatsoever to participate in RPGaDay. It's just something I'd like to see. All right, let's hit day 30, almost to the end. So we've done our who question. This is our what question. And this year we're taking the time because this is the 9th year of RPGaDay. This is the time to ask for as much feedback as we can get from the people who participate in and enjoy RPGaDay. So we're asking people, what should we do next year? What should we do for our 10th anniversary? Right? So remember, this is an event of positivity. It's an event about celebrating role-playing games. It's about celebrating the relationships that we form in role-playing games, the friendships that we've made, the great experiences that we've had, the incredible characters that were created and who climb to whatever lofty level of success or perhaps vanished before their time. Right? That's what the event is about, just to remind ourselves amidst all the madness of our day-to-day lives and all the negative talk which can permeate our role-playing game community spaces. It's to remember why we do it, why we get into it, why it's fun, and to provide people who grew up in a different culture of play some insight into what we like about things and why we do things the way that we do them, why we think that they're cool or compelling or interesting, right? It's a way for more of us to understand more of us and for everyone to understand even more why we want all the other gamers out there to have fun gaming, to enjoy their gaming, and to be able to spread it in a healthy and enjoyable way. So, what should we do for next year? I'm thinking, because I'm on the inside of this question, that I should abstain from the question, soapbox and speech aside. There's a lot of material from 10 years. There's a lot of questions, some of which we have brought back as, perennial fan favorite kind of things, and some style of question and some approach. One of the things that we have in mind is that we want the two different methodologies of RPGaDay to meet. The single word prompt, which some of us respond to very strongly, and the question, which some of us respond to very strongly. And some of us don't care what we get. Right? Some way to bring these together into a functional synthesis. So this is one of the things that I've got on my mind as this event winds down and I cast my mind ahead to next year in consultation with David and in listening to whatever feedback comes up in response to this question. We'll see. So this is going to stand as my answer, at least on YouTube. All right, day 31, the last day, the last part of the last video of responses for RPGaDay for 2022. This is it right now. When did you first start participating in RPGaDay? Well, my first participation in the event was in its first year. Not from the beginning, because I didn't hear about it at the beginning, but very quickly it started to, pass through my feed. And I quickly got involved. I saw it first on Facebook, and I started responding, just like everybody else, on Facebook comments. The next year, I got much more involved. So, right from the very first year have I been involved in RPGaDay, and it wasn't long before I was involved in this side of RPGaDay, but that's another answer, another prompt for another day. The very first post, tagged RPGaDay that I saw was from Paul Wiggy Wade Williams, the creative force inside Triple Ace Games, and someone who I'm very happy to get to work with in limited capacity as a line editor for some of their games. So I think that's kind of interesting that this thing, which has become such a big part of my gaming year, and the Triple Ace Games, which are such a big part of my entire year, cross over and merge into something that's limitlessly positive. Anyway, that's the end of my responses for RPGaDay 2022. I hope you've enjoyed this year and this format. I hope that you haven't missed out on, I can't imagine that you would, getting short daily videos on YouTube. But I hope some of you have at least been going to the written blog to get things in daily doses there, because what I say here, while fundamentally the same, is not categorically the same on the blog. And of course, there's the podcast. Here on YouTube, I've been recording ahead of the week, right? Into the future, recording on Sunday for the week to come. But on the podcast, I've been doing it the other way around. So there's some variation and different depth and different focus there. Anyway, until next year, or at least until our concluding video, if there is one, take care. And for those who participated, thank you. For those who participated and made it all the way through, you're awesome. Thank you. And your posts will stand, and people will continue to find them, forever. They're useful and valuable beyond just the joy of writing them. So, until next time. For real now. Take care.